You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona, and with me always are my good friends.
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
And we are getting ready for the Arizona Electric Festival. So first of all, we're sorry this is coming out a little late. We did have some technical server difficulties. So Mr. Jay there, he was having some internet issues, and now I think we've kind of figured that out.
AT&T was out to
before
get
we
me,
get started, they were.
Is that it?
Yep. So anyway, before we get started, how about a word from our sponsors?
"3D Aeroventures, adding fun to the RC hobby, one layer at a time."
Feeling weak and powerless? Sounds to me like you need A-Power batteries. When someone needs the best, they always choose the A-Team. A-Power batteries. Get on the web and get yours today.
And we're back to the Park Fire Podcast. Welcome, everyone. It's been a kind of an up and down week. I've been excited about you guys coming in, and then today we found some pretty devastating news. So we're going to dedicate this podcast to our good friend, RC pilot, Big Mike Calloway. And about 6 days ago, Mike posted that he had a heart attack, and he was going into surgery yesterday. And unfortunately, on the 18th, at around 3 o'clock, he passed. So we got the news and kind of spread around, and it kind of hit us especially because we've spent a lot of time with Mike, Big Mike, there at the Arizona Electric Festival, and we just kind of wanted to take this opportunity to kind of honor him by talking a little bit about some of the experiences we had and the good times that we remember. So, for me especially, I loved all of his stories, where he was, telling us both work-related and RC-related. And I think it was even better. He'd always brought the coolest equipment. You could always count on him. It was funny because I would talk to him earlier in the year, and he'd say, "Hey, Mike, I'm bringing something special." Oh yeah. I'd always try to get it out, of him. He'd be like, "Oh man, you just have to wait and see." But it was always a big production with him, and that was the best part, is that we would show up not knowing what to expect, and then a 14-foot Cessna 172 comes out of the truck, and now we're watching him stick this thing together. And that particular year was hilarious because he came over to ask for some tools. And I was like, "Well, what do you need tools for?" He goes, "Well, I got to modify this, upper wing, and it's not fitting." And we're like, okay. So we walked over there, Jay and I walked over there, and we started looking around and realized that there's two sections. There was like a section in there, and the mount that you slide the wing tube through, he had reversed them. So he was about to modify this to fit, and I'm like, this is a pre-made kit. You shouldn't have to modify anything. And so as we started, I'm like, this doesn't seem right. And they were backwards and upside down. And anyway, I think he was just so excited, and people were distracting him. It wasn't that he was doing anything wrong, but somebody had come up, and he's telling stories about this thing, and he drops these little mounts in there, and they just did not fit. And he had a great idea. I have to give it to him. He was going to modify this thing, and he was telling me all about how this engineering mind was working. I'm going to do this and do this. I was like,
just turn this whole section around. Here you go. Wouldn't that work much better?
I'm just going to put the trailing edge.
You and your simple answers, I just hate it.
I know. Anyway, it took about 30 seconds for me to go, this should fit like this. And we rotated him around, and then the wing slid right on. The little latches fell into place, and he went, wow, that worked.
You just stole hours from him for tinkering. Hours.
Hours of enjoyment.
Yeah.
Probably did. So anyway, I believe it or not, got to maid in the 14-foot Cessna, which was incredible. Matter of fact, I got to maid in a lot of his airplanes.
Yeah, I think the Tucano 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. I think there was only 2 of those, but yes, I did get to fly all 3 of those.
That's the one he called Big Blue or something
Big
like
Blue.
that?
Yep.
Big Blue. Yeah. Called Big Blue. And it was actually, believe it or not, that version of the Tucano was either a turbine or a gas airplane, and he had converted it to electric. So it had all of the components of a gas or a turboprop, and it had this massive motor, and it was really impressive. And I remember standing out with him, and he would fly it around and just be nervous. And I was standing there one time, and he says, I don't got it. And I turned to look at him like, what? And he's literally handing me the radio as the airplane's tumbling out of the sky. And I'm like, And so I snatched the radio, and I'm trying to figure out what it's doing, and I recover in about a 90-degree nose down, full throttle, jerk the throttle to idle, and I pull up on this thing, and it disappears below the tree line. And I thought for sure it was going to come up, and I was going to be the hero. As it turned out, there was a cactus that was just below the tree line. And, that was Big Blue, too, I think. So that was it.
Dream Killer Cactus.
Yeah, that killer cactus got him. So, and I felt so bad. And then I was lucky. I got to go out for about 2.5 hours and walk the desert with him. And he was in a boot at that time, I think, too.
I remember that, actually, yeah.
Chasing a criminal and basically hurt his foot. And he and I are in the truck, and we go out there, and he wanted to turn his radio off, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't ever turn your radio off. We'll find it. And, man, we walked out there for hours, 2 hours, and finally I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start doing this grid pattern until I get back to the field. So he came back. I was out there for about another 30 minutes walking, and I got back, and I was like, yeah, man, I don't know where a thing went. And, kudos to him. He was like, all right, well, the desert ate it. Let's go. I got another airplane. Let's get it cranked up and let's go fly it. And I was like, well, I really feel bad, because that thing had a lot of components in it. So the next day, we went out there, and I got this. Actually, Jay, I think, suggested it. And he's like, hey, you should fly the big Cessna and then, see where it went down and then kind of head out that direction, So because they had flown a drone, that one of those DJI Mavic.
Right.
Gone out there and searched for it. Nobody could find it. And so these guys that were with us, or that was at the Electric Festival, they're like, hey, man, if you fly that Cessna, we'll drive out there. So I got their cell phone, and then I got into the Cessna, and I flew this Cessna in this big, wide pattern. And then I handed it to Mike, and I said, okay, I want you to fly exactly how you normally fly. Well, he flies this big pattern that's way out there, and I'm on the radio, and I'm like, hey, you guys see this airplane coming? And he's like, yeah. And I said, okay, well, Mike's going to tell me, when he turns base to final, look straight down. It's right below that. So sure enough, he did. And they're like, oh, we can see it. Do another lap. And so, they're running through the desert trying to find it, and we're watching the battery voltage, get lower as we're doing these laps, because they're huge. I mean, it's not a small airplane, so it does take up a lot of room. And anyway, sure enough, we flew over that, and I hear this, got it, and they hung up. And about 20 minutes later, they show up with Big Blue, and that's when I found out
parts.
I found out that there was a cactus sitting right there. It was much shorter, but yeah, I just caught it with the wingtip, and it flung it. And had I been about a second sooner, I probably would have pulled it out of there, brought it back, and I'd have been a hero for the day. But anyway, it was a good experience. I have to give it up to Big Mike because he took it in stride. I mean, that was a lot of time, energy, and effort, money, and that was number 2. And he took it like a champ. He was like, yep, it happens. And
I think what he said was, I'm not going to call it that anymore.
Yes.
He said he was going to change the name.
The name.
Maybe it's the name. Maybe the name jinxed it. I think it's what. That's
Well, I will tell you that he won an award that year for that Cessna because he obviously is in law enforcement or was, and so he made it a drug kind of cartel or a drug runner. And we had a lot of fun with that. He brought it 3 years,
2 or 3
4
years,
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he kept adding things to
this
it every
last
year.
Yeah, and he would add, like fish or game. And so last year when we went out, and this was the best time because we went to Shannon Gallagher, who's we've had on the podcast before. He's the contest director there, the president of the club that holds the Arizona Electric Festival. And he was looking for, demos for the new show. And so I told him, I was like, man, too bad we don't have someone that, can fly a jet. And then we could do like a, Smuggler's Blues kind of thing. Because what Mike had done is actually put a pod on the bottom of the Cessna that opened up with a flip of the switch, and these dudes come flying out of there and parachute down. So he was transporting human trafficking. It was getting these drug dealers' cars. He had the best imagination because he could find this stuff, and you're just like, how did you even think of this? And then he modified his plane to do it. He put new wheels on it to make it a little taller so the pod would clear. And so anyway, we walked over there, and Shannon's like, hey, man, I have Smuggler's Blues right on my iPhone. We can play this. And Pat Gagnon has a MiG, that he can fly a cap over it. And so for the noon demo, we pushed this out, and Shannon did this big thing about, hey, man, I think they're scrambling because we got a smuggler, and they're smuggling, contraband. And this airplane is I think it's 14 feet wide, right? It's 14-foot wingspan.
Yeah.
It is massive. And, we'll have to post some pictures of it, but it is just huge airplane. And Big Mike pushes it right to the, like he thinks that I'm going to taxi down, right, and then take off like a normal airplane. But this is a smuggler's airplane. So as soon as the Smuggler's Blues song comes on, I put full flaps and hammered the throttle, which this thing has massive amounts of power. It runs off of like 2 5 or 6 cell batteries. I mean, it's like a 12-cell battery. This thing literally went across the runway, not down the runway like a normal airplane, but across the runway from where we were standing at the pilot's box, straight across. And I pulled it off the ground and just hugged the ground in ground effect and went right over the fence and made the turn. And I literally felt the air get sucked out of around me because Mike just saw his airplane just going, cheese grater through the fence, when I took off, because it was not what he was expecting. And, the song's playing, and I'm flying through the cactus, and Pat Gagnon's up and, kind of doing his thing. And anyway, it was a good time for me. I had a great time. And then, he was giving me pointers about how to come on down the runway, flip this switch, and the guys will drop out. So fortunately, they worked. The first go around, both guys came out, and both parachutes came down. The second time we lost one of them, they didn't pack their chute very well.
Human trafficking.
It failed to open. Yeah, human trafficker. So anyway. But the crowd loved it.
It was the cocaine or the parachute, one or the other.
Well, and I got to get rid of that guy, So, but it was a great time. I loved flying his airplanes. I think one of the other stories for me before I get to the other guys, but he brought what was that jet? The EDF jet was a Scorpion.
I think so. Yeah, Scorpion. That was a few years ago for the Scorpion.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. Anyway, he brought it, and they got there at night, and he was putting it all together. And anyway, it's a Motion RC airplane. It's red and white, and I think it may have been called a Scorpion or something like that. And anyway, he's like, "Hey, Mike, why don't you fly this thing and trim it all out for me?" Because he always wanted me to trim things for him. And so I said, "Yeah, sure." So I took off, and I flew around, and I lowered the landing gear, and unfortunately, we're looking, into the sun, and Mike says, Jay couldn't stop. He choked at laughing so hard. I can't remember exactly what the words were, but he said something like, "Oh my gosh, where did it go?" And just out of one of those, smart aleck remarks, I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." And Mike just saw his whole airplane just go, he was like, "What?" It wasn't that I didn't see the airplane, but it was just it disappeared. I mean, I knew where it was. I just kept it going and coming, but the look on his face and just his expression about when I said, yeah, I don't. He goes, where'd he go? I was like, I don't know where it went. It was funny. Jay was over there choking, laughing so hard, but yeah, it's going to be. I hate the fact that he passed away just weeks before
Right.
the AZ possible. But
Yeah, it would have been good to see him.
yeah, it would have been good to see him. But anyway, that's off the top of my head. Those are some pretty cool stories for me. I don't know what you guys remember from flying with him, but I think Mike.
Well, I don't remember any details, but I do remember him telling quite a few stories about work-related things that he got involved in, and always thinking to myself, this guy lives a charmed life. Just just the kind of things that he did, and stuff that was going on. It's like, and he just was like, "Yep," and that's the way it is. And it was amazing to listen to him tell the stories. As you say. And you know what? He could have been telling me fibs. I have no way of knowing, but he did a great job of telling the story. So.
He was a good storyteller. I don't think he was telling fibs, but you are correct. There were a lot of things that they were good. They were good stories at the end of the night when he would talk about work-related issues. You helped him fly the big 737 looking airplane, though. I thought that.
Yeah,
was
I can't remember. He gave it some kind of funny name too, because it had that funny coloring he put on it.
Yeah, it was like every color he had in the shop.
Yeah, but
like
it looked like
Ethiopian
the Jamaican or
Ethiopian.
ganja, or not ganja, but what's
No, it was the
Ghana,
Ethiopian.
Ghana.
It looked like Ethiopian.
Or Ethiopian.
Oh,
that
Ghana?
was it.
Yeah, Ethiopian.
One of
Airlines.
those.
But I do remember flying that with him, and I think he was flying it. I didn't fly it. I was just talking to him, and he was flying. All of a sudden, I think it got behind him.
It did.
And
over the parking lot, I think.
and
right?
that can be scary to have something like that happen if you're not used to it. And he had a little bit of a panic, and I said, it'll be fine, Mike. Just let it fly. You don't need to make any changes. Turn a little bit right. We just kept making him move it away from the behind us, right, as best we could. And once it was fully behind us, like, all right, just leave it behind us, but fly it level. And then when you get past everything, we can turn and manage. I think he ended up, turning around in his spot so that he could see.
Yeah, I think so, because I walked up just about that time you guys were facing the parking lot, and I'm like, what are y'all looking at? And I looked airplane's over the highway over there. I was like, that's the wrong direction there, fellas. So
yeah. But he was handling at that point, it's like, okay, you got it. And he's like, okay, it'll be fine. And he ended up going around and then landing it right after that.
Yeah, he did.
I don't think he
job.
wanted to fly the rest of the day, though.
Yeah, he was pretty nervous. I think he was shaking, but that airplane was cool. It had a sound system on it.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, so yeah, there was actually a couple of airplanes of his that had sound systems. They were pretty neat.
Well, didn't one of them play through Bluetooth or something? Like it had Bluetooth transmit or something?
It may have.
Is that right?
Yeah, he was. I don't know.
Or was that maybe just his radio that he had it on or something? I just don't remember.
Yeah, he had a couple things that were pretty cool. I mean, he was really kind of a genius when it come to putting that kind of stuff together. He really loved building. I think he loved building better than he loved flying.
I think
and it's amazing.
He often said that. I don't really want to fly it. I just want to build it.
Right. And he would always tell us, he's, I like watching you fly. Hey, come on over and fly this. And I think I honestly flew every airplane in his inventory, at least once, sometimes twice. But he did a fabulous job. I always liked flying his airplanes. They were always so stable. They're big. He did such a good job with them. And the crazy part is that we only know the airplane side, but he was a helicopter pilot too.
Yeah, that was his main thing, was helicopters.
Yeah, he had all kinds of helicopter stuff. And he would tell us helicopter stories too, which were amazing. He'd go out there and crash that thing, rebuild it, crash it, rebuild it. And I'm like, dang, man, that's some dedication, because about third crash, I'd be like, all right, trash, going back to airplanes. So,
Well, like you said, big
Well,
guy, big
what do you got,
planes.
Jay? Yeah.
Well, like I said, this guy, for Big Mike, I don't think he owned a park flyer. In fact, I think the only time he did anything park flyer size was maybe it was for one of the noontime shows that we were doing, and it was for the it was like the last plane flying. That we were flying the. Everybody throws up an airplane, and the last person to keep it
he
up
had like
in the
a
sky.
slow stick or something.
It was
combat
that's what it was. The slow.
stick.
Yeah, it was the combat slow stick,
stick.
and so you had to cut off the ribbon or whatever. And I remember flying that with him, and at the time, like you said, he had found a slow stick to bring out there, and he was just like, yeah, I just kind of threw this thing together, and and I'm like, well, did you fly it or test it out or do it? Yeah, right now. I'm just like, well, nothing better than trying to, go into a contest and first time you put the plane together and, figured out the weight and balance when you're out there flying. And the funny part was, if I remember correctly, he was in the top 3 by the time we came, got done with the contest. So, and it was, maybe not so much for skill as it was, trying to keep the plane
I think he was
alive.
just trying to keep the plane in the air. Yeah, yep. and he was able to avoid everybody because of it, right?
Yep.
Because nobody could see that he was flying any kind of regular pattern. He was so erratic, and it wasn't because of his flying ability. It was just because he couldn't keep the damn thing in the air.
Yep. But the big thing is I remember about the guy too is from when we first met him. Because he was down in the end, and since he had such big complex planes, you just don't know about people like that when you first, you're looking at their stuff, how they're going to be about, when you start asking them questions. Some people don't want to answer a lot of questions or whatever. And he just had one of those personalities, he just wanted to talk to you, explain stuff to you. If you were willing to listen, he was willing to talk. And luckily, everything that he said was, it was funny, and he was a jovial guy. He was in a great mood. Like you said, even after he had disasters, he still was in a good mood. And most people tend to be super pissed off, don't want to talk, that type of thing. And he would just kind of laugh it off and be like, yeah, well, I got another one at the house, so I'll put it together.
You shouldn't really talk about me on air, Jay, like that.
What do you mean?
Well, being pissed off and stuff, you shouldn't be talking about me. Like I thought that was something we were going to keep between us. Why do you have to say that?
Well, what can I say?
Funny.
I speak the truth, my friend. I can't help it.
Yeah.
Slips out. But like you said, I loved the Cessna that he had. The part that I liked about that plane was the little small details, like the little pizza boxes, and he had all the junk food boxes. So, folks, just so you understand, we'll see if we can dig up some pics. But he had went out and printed or made these specialty little boxes, like Twinkie boxes, pizza boxes, different snack food boxes, packages and all that kind of stuff. And he had them made so he could put them all throughout, the airplane. Like, of course, the smuggler's eating junk food as he's flying and just throwing it in the back. Right. And it was just little details like that just made, the stuff that he did really whimsical and fun. And, I really appreciated as much detail as he put into the aircraft, he put into the little small things that were just, kind of mundane in the plane, but it added to the whole effect. So
if you got half the joy out of building those things and doing the detail that he seemed to have when he was talking about them, that guy was happy all the time because that's all he did all day long. As far as I could tell, is when he wasn't working, he was building on his planes, and like I said, if he was smiling while he was doing it, thinking, yeah, this is going to be great. I think he got at least one award, maybe an award each year. One was for the biggest wing, I think, and the other one was for like the detail or whatever. I can't remember what the best model award, whatever. Yes. How could he? It would have been amazing if he hadn't won it because that was a high bar he set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really was hard to compete, with that. And I think last year was the first time he showed up with the shark bait. The body in the back of the thing was.
That's right. I forgot about that.
That's right.
And
it was wrapped. It was wrapped. Remember, it had he had little twine on it or something for rope or something. Oh my God! I was like, oh Lord! And I think he even wrote on there shark bait. So it was like like a red ink or something. It's like, oh my Lord!
And because of COVID, he had a whole bunch of toilet paper in the back too. He was smuggling.
Oh.
hilarious. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
Oh my
Who was
gosh.
who did the night flight with him with the walrus? Because he brought a walrus out there.
Did he?
I don't remember. Would have been all of us. I mean, I assume we would have all went to the line, and I probably didn't have my tail,
Yeah.
which is pretty consistent. In fact, I'm just going to declare right now, I'm not bringing my tail. I'll bring the rest of it again, but I'm not bringing the tail. Luckily,
a
Mike
spare
still
one.
has. Yeah, you have that one I made last time, so that's.
Yeah, since the move, I don't know. I can't guarantee I can find it, but I still have.
All right. We'll start looking. I mean,
I
because
will. I think I know where it's at.
Start right now.
start right now.
Yeah, because we're getting close. So
Yeah,
not
we're
like we
getting
couldn't
close.
make another one though. We're pretty good at it. So
I say we make it out of
no,
plywood this time.
the first year I think it was one of the first years we did a night fly, and he was out there just really excited about it. And I think the next year he brought a walrus, because that was the year we were playing the game, where the stealth game where you turn it off and on. Anyway, he brought the walrus, and I thought you guys were helping. Maybe it was me, but one of us was helping him, and I remember that he didn't want to fly it at night because he hadn't trimmed it or anything. And it's one of those that I remember walking up there and you guys were talking to him, but I was like, hey, wait a second. You're supposed to do all the test flying in the daytime. You don't wait till nighttime to try it.
But I think you flew it anyway. Weren't we at like dusk?
I did.
I think I'm not remembering. It's like the sun was just about to drop, and you're like, I got enough time. Ding!
Yeah.
You toss it up in the air, and you're like flying it. Yeah, that sounds like normal.
That was probably good. Well, the best part about the story is that we got it flying and we let him fly it. And of course he was like, yeah, this sucks. I can't see it. It just, he didn't know where it was going. And so we were, kind of laughing about that. So the very next year, I know what it was. He couldn't find the runway. He was like, how do you see the runway? And I go, well, it's right here in front of you. Just land somewhere in the vicinity, And he's like, no, that can't be. And so the very next year, and I remember this because my wife came out during the night.
Oh, with the lights.
Yeah. He brought out like little runway lights and put the he's got these LED runway lights, and he's walking around the runway while all these guys are flying. Now it's pitch black. So these guys are walking, you can't see anything. They're all lit up, and he's walking around in the dark setting these lights out, and you could see him because he has all the lights on him, so everybody could avoid him. But once he set the last light down, you have no idea. You can't see each other, more or less somebody that's standing on the runway. So there was a little bit of a Frogger game going on where he was kind of trying to get across the runway while people were flying down the runway, because now they have runway lights, right? They're edge identifying lights. And anyway, my wife was really devastated when she heard the news as well, because she spent a lot of time that year, hanging out with him at the night fly, because he was all excited about these lights that he had found. And I don't even know where he got them, but they were little, like cone-looking things that, flashed. And they looked just like a runway. And everybody loved
cool.
them. That was pretty cool. And so I think he flew that year. He flew the airplane once or twice. But I don't think he was as comfortable at night, flying it. So.
Well,
But,
I think didn't he have night vision issues? Like didn't he say that he was like challenged by the lack of the light, which is why he wanted the runway lights, just because he's struggling enough to see his feet, let alone. I mean, he was a tall guy, so I guess I understand that. But at the same time, yeah. I mean, I could be wrong about that. That's just.
Well, I have
vague
to
memory.
say too that out of all the guys, he was always thinking about you, not himself. And we were helping him. Jay and I were helping him with something, and it was either an EDF or maybe it was the L39, because I think he got an L39 too, right? And or one of the other jets. Anyway, Jay and I were messing with it. We were sitting over there. It was noon. They were doing the demo, all that stuff. Next thing you know. He comes back with an armful of hot dogs.
Yep.
Do you remember that? And he's like, here you go. Here's a hot dog for you, hot dog for you. And we're like, yeah, we didn't eat hot dog. No, you guys were busy working. But it was the fact that he had thought about us, and that the fact that it was noon and we were working for him, doing something, and he was nice enough to go buy lunch and bring it over to us. So we had hot dogs that year, and And normally we camped there, so we actually had lunch ready for us out in the camper. But he was nice enough to do that, and it was always fun. He always thought about it. Smoothies too. He was a smoothie guru, man. He loved smoothies. So it was always fun to be around Big Mike.
It's true.
We're gonna miss him.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Well, the Arizona Electric Festival is right around the corner, and I think I just kind of chatted with Shannon, and I exchanged some messaging, and I do think that they are going to reach out and do a special event. I don't know if it's a flyby or an award or whatever it is, but he said they will do a tribute to Big Mike Calloway at the Arizona Electric Festival. So. Big Mike, we're going to miss you. It's I know you're probably flying RCs wherever you are, and I have to admit he had a great life, great stories, and he was just overall fun to be around. So we're going to miss him. So, but with that said, you guys are coming out a couple of days.
Yeah.
So
Getting excited.
yeah, it is going to be exciting. I'm getting all prepared. I actually got, trying to get my shop organized and get all that stuff. Had my dad helping me. My dad's in town. And
Oh, really?
some stuff together. Yeah, my parents came in and got to help us out. We got the motorhome garage sale, kind of put together, at least where we could get the motorhome in and clean it and, get it packed up, and emptied my trailer. So we got.
You made him stay in the motorhome, right?
No,
that's what I was thinking too. Just built this big old house, but hey, folks, you can stay right on out there in the garage.
Just in the motorhome. Yeah.
You can call us up.
It'll be in the garage, so it'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Just remember, if you start it up when you get cold, open up the doors.
Open the garage door. You don't want to suffocate yourself.
Funny. No, actually, it was funny you say that, because I told my my in-laws, right, my wife's parents. I told them, they came out and they said, "Hey, we're going to come down and see you in the new house." And I said, "Perfect. I got a 2-man tent that I got out in the back of the fifth acre sitting way out there that you guys are ready to come out and see." My wife wasn't happy.
No?
She was like, "Oh, so your parents get to stay in the house, my parents have to stay in a pup tent?" And I was like, "Hey, man, I'm just
it's a large pup tent. What are you talking about? King size."
You could just tell her Mike Barcelo's going to stay out there. If it's good enough for Mike, it's got to be good enough for everybody else, right?
For everybody else. So, anyway, that's pretty funny.
And Mike would be happy to have it.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got a pup tent? Dang.
Yeah. I know it's kind of a side note. It's kind of a side note, but my mom is, you guys, I don't know if Mike's met my mom.
No,
I haven't.
Jay
knows
knows my mom.
Yeah.
Right. And so my mom can't stand still for 2 seconds. She's got to have something. She's got to be doing something, right? And so, I live on 5 acres. So I look out this morning, and she's out there with a rake filling holes in the dirt.
She'd be content all day long.
No, she would. But she's doing it standing within arm's reach of my tractor. And I opened the door, and I said, "Hey, get out. I don't care how many holes you think you're going to be able to fill. That tractor can make short work of those holes." So we wound up actually putting her on the tractor and letting her drive the tractor around and fill some.
Yay!
Oh, there you
That's
go.
Cool.
All right. So she must have been happy.
She was incredibly happy, a little nervous, but I showed her how to use the Gannon, and I put the rippers on it. And I said, "Look, if you can drive this tractor all over these 5 acres, just drop this thing and drag these ripping teeth through the soil. And then whatever you tear up out there, we'll all come and clean up later." So it's just kind of fun. So my dad and I were sitting on the back porch watching my mother, 78 years old. She's driving this tractor around, just having a blast. So I told her, I was like, "Yeah, it's better than a rake, because she does it to keep busy." But my dad's like, how long are you going to let her sit out there on that tractor? I was like, "Man, until it runs out of gas. I don't care."
I was just going to say.
If it makes her happy, I'm happy. She's doing me a favor. I don't have to sit on it for 25 hours, ripping up the acreage. So it was pretty fun. So anyway, they're here this week, and they're spending a little time with us to see the grandkids.
That's cool.
And stuff. So, yeah, we're excited. And my dad was really impressed with the shop, and I don't know if you guys I don't know if Mike saw it. I'm going to reach back here. I already showed it to Jay, but I had my garage I'm kind of tangled up here. I had my garage floor done, and so I had the guys were out. Oh, now I'm really tangled. They were here, and what in the heck? Okay, there we go. Anyway, I gonna see. I'll grab this one. This is the elevator. So if you're listening to us on the podcast, you're not gonna be able to see this, but this is the new L39, and I don't know if you can see, Mike. You can kind of see the weathering.
I can, yeah.
And then I did the underside to look a little bit, And I didn't go crazy on this one like I did on the A10. The A10, I really, aggressively went to that because the A10's a messy airplane and it looks dirty all the time. But the L39, this is a Russian scheme. Here's the wing. I went ahead and did the wing. You can kind of see it, the star. It's got some of those streaks on it looks, and there's the underside of it. So I thought maybe one of the podcasts this year in our season after the Electric Festival's over, it would be kind of cool to maybe talk a little bit about weathering techniques, because there are several YouTube channels and a couple of guys that are out there that actually teach, how to weather. And
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's it's not as difficult as as people make it out to be, and it makes a huge difference in what the airplane looks like.
I bet it flies a lot faster.
No, it doesn't fly fast.
Oh.
Gotta paint the right colors.
When I got new sneakers, when I got new sneakers or a haircut, I've definitely ran faster. No question.
Well, the haircut maybe. You swam faster anyway. Let's see. When was the last time you got a haircut? Really? I mean, come on now. All of us are having this issue here. But
this one just yesterday.
Yeah, this
one. Tink.
Yeah. The barber charged me $50.
That's right.
For what?
Mm-hmm. But there are several there's several weathering techniques, and this one that I'm using is a graphite based, and you can just, what I do is I do the panel lines, and then use a little. I use some lighter fluid. And,
that sounds safe.
Well, I'm not smoking while I'm doing it, so. It's what is it called?
How do you hold it without burning yourself?
Yeah, the lighter. It's just the fluid. Anyway, you just kind of streak it, and it puts little streaks from the pencil. But it's kind of funny. I went through literally almost a box of pencils, just kind of because I didn't have a sharpener here, and I didn't want to go run in the other room try to find it. It's probably in my wife's office, but. So I was being lazy, and I couldn't trip through the garage because we were putting the epoxy floor on it. So I just grabbed the whole handful of pencils, and I wore the pencil, down till it was a nub, and then I threw it, in the pile and got the next one. So this next go around, I have to go back and sharpen all my pencils. I didn't use the whole pencil; I just used all the lead on it, so there's no more lead because it, you're drawing in there and causing little scrapes. But you just put lead, and then go to the doctor afterwards for lead poisoning. So.
I was going to say, you're going to have graphite poisoning here, bud.
Yeah, I know, but I was thinking.
But you'll do everything smoothly.
I will. So I don't know. I don't exhibit any signs of graphite poisoning yet, so that's good news.
What is the sign of graphite poisoning, Mike?
I don't know. Hey, Joe.
What?
Exactly. I don't know. My teeth fall out.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows? So, but anyway, what do you guys? Let's see, Mike. You're actually flying in, so you're probably going to bring kind of the standard stuff in your secret golf.
Yeah, I'm going to bring the a night owl. I guess is that what it's called? Night owl, without the tail, of course. And then I don't have a fun jet anymore because I lost that.
Yeah, that's true. You lost that in North Carolina, didn't you?
Yep, I did.
Are you talking about the night walrus?
Night walrus. Sorry, yeah, I said owl, but walrus. Yeah.
Night walrus.
And I have a multiplex shark. I don't know if I'll bring it, but I might bring that. It's just sort of a little kind of a glider.
Yeah.
Thing. So.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then you have some
not much else
from there. You do have a couple of kits here. I mean, I don't know if we have time to build them when you get here, but I don't know. Maybe we can see what we can.
Well, I mean, let me know what we need for the hacker one, so I can bring parts or whatever.
Okay. Well, I'll look.
Yeah, and this year, Mike, AK Mike, if you want this year, since I'm driving my trailer out, I can bring it back with me, and then the next time you come down, you can pick it up.
That's exactly what I told him. I said, I can store them for a year, and now you can store them for a year. So I had them sitting in my storage unit for almost a year. So because it has been, we actually sold some of what we picked up at last year's festival. So it's been an actual year. But that's okay. I mean, we've flown other things, and I've got all my airplanes out. I realize some of them are in need of repair, and I realized it's very difficult to store my Python, the Pitts Python. It's just big enough. It doesn't fit like on the shelf because the landing gear hangs off one side. I can't put it, long ways on the shelf because the tail hits the wall. I have to stand it up on its nose, and now it's like, where do I put this? So I don't know. You probably can't see it, but hey, there it is, way over there in the corner. See it over there? It's actually hanging on the on the rafter, or on the, what do you call those? The shutters. So there's a workbench over there, and I have it sitting on the workbench at the moment. So, but I tried everywhere to figure out where to put that thing, and I just couldn't. So anyway.
Yeah, there's hardly any room there, so I can imagine it must be a challenge.
Yeah,
it is
no room.
I don't. I ran out of room. What can I say? It's time to build a new shop. I need another.
That's right. A little add-on. You should have made it modular. So she'd go, well, what's this door here for? Oh, for after I fill this up, we could just bring the other room, back on a tractor trailer.
Another 20 feet.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
I get these 20
Actually,
feet
that's
modular.
funny because my wife said while she was in here, I kind of got everything. It's not quite organized just yet. I still have a couple of things to do, and so I've got stuff sitting on my, that I'm working on, and I got a table over that's got a bunch of crap sitting on it that I need to get off just so I can use the table. And my wife's like, looks like you need a little more room. And I started laughing. I was like, yeah, who would have thought that all this stuff was in my other house? It just was hidden. Like it was under the bed, in the closet, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Jay would come over, and I'd just be like, yeah, it's probably in that closet or the closet in the other room or in the garage, one of the three. And so now it's all
I wonder if you'd do me a favor, though. I'd really appreciate if you would figure this out. Before we arrive, before Jay shows up, I'd like to sort of start placing things in the kitchen, just certain like tools or like a box of stuff, whatever, just like one or two items, like not too many. So you don't want to make her mad at you, but just start piling things out there, and it's like, oh, what's that? Oh, I'm gonna take care of that later, and just sort of make a little pile going. That way, when Jay comes in, okay, we're ready to build, and then start in the kitchen, and then I think that would just be a good way to say hi.
Well, I think the good news is you have a spare bedroom, so when my divorce is finalized, I can just come and hang out with you.
That's true. I do. It is open for you, Mike. It is available.
Yeah. So anyway, she was telling me that when I needed some new room, she's like, it looks like you need a little extra room. She was like, am I going to come home and find a 40-foot trailer or a 40-foot container attached to the back door? Because I have a back door to the shop that goes outside. And she was looking at it.
Good idea.
I saw her. She measured it, so she knows that a 40-foot container would fit perfectly right behind the shop. And as I opened the door, I could just walk right in. And so she's like, I better not come back and find that attached to the house. So I was like, no.
That's where the pool's going, isn't it?
Well, it's close. Yeah,
this could be your indoor pool.
It could be. So actually, Jay had a good idea. He said I could just bury it and put some stairs right here, and then I could just go down the stairs and
go down into it.
She would never see it, so it wouldn't be that.
That's right. It's out of sight, out of mind.
It could be your basement shooting gallery or something, right?
Yeah, that's true. We could do that too. So anyway, it's been kind of fun, but so yeah, it's actually kind of nice. I working on the L39, I was able to kind of open stuff and just say, hey, look, here it is, and put it back, and I got a few more shelves to build and some items, some boxes to unpack. But I think once I get most of that undone, my dad's here. He's going to help me build a shelf. But I think by the time you guys get here, it'll be good. We can all three work in the shop and not run into each other and don't have to step on each other.
So seeing the size of that place, we got a chance to walk through the house before it was built. Walking on the platform,
the cement
floor there. Yeah. And I was thinking, what if you just put a carousel floor here? And that way you could have like all these different things that sort of you can just spin the carousel. You wouldn't have to go anywhere in the room. You could just be at your work. Everybody has their own workbench. Right?
Yeah,
you get
that's
4 or
true.
5 workbenches around this carousel thing. Then you just spin the carousel for whatever you need.
That would be neat. Yeah,
Turn it for servos. Got to get an engine. Here it goes. Jet engines, EDFs, regular motors.
Waterproof servos. Oh, there we go.
Exactly. I mean,
we could step it up and just put Alexa in charge of that, and then you could just say, "Hey Alexa, I need turbine engines."
Alexa, I need waterproof servos. Yeah, and it spins
that
around.
Is in aisle 7, bay 14.
And maybe the thing could be like 13 feet tall, and so you'd have this ladder that kind of traveled around the outside of it. That way you
running
could climb
low
up,
on 9-gram servos. Running low on 9-gram servos.
Automatically ordered.
Yes, exactly. We have payroll deducted your order.
Yeah, exactly.
They go to work, and my wife is like, "What is this payroll deduction that's going to Alexa?"
Mike, I'm pretty sure you have engineer friends. I'm pretty sure you have engineer friends that can help you figure that out. Like, are they slacking? I mean, why aren't they over there helping you figure this stuff out? Because I feel like if they let you down.
I'm staying at arm's length for those guys for the moment. So yeah, just what I need.
He's got to recoup some of his costs.
Yes, that's exactly right. So, but I did get some stuff in the mail. I ordered. This is kind of interesting. I ordered these. These are brake gyros. They came from Banana Hobby. They're a company called
Brake
ASSA.
gyros.
SN? Yeah, brake gyros. So, what the brake gyros do? They come in a little package. You can see it right there. It's I think it's a AG63 Pro brake gyro. So normally you have a regular gyro, and then you can actually put a heading hold in that gyro. But what these do is that they're actually, I have electric brakes on the L39, and so normally when you engage the brakes, they engage. One may engage electrically harder than the other, right? So you may get a little bit of wobble when you hit the switch, because unlike air brakes that can pulse, the electric actually start grabbing, and they get harder and harder and harder, right? So it's the amount of electricity you put into them. So it goes a little bit, and then they grab, and then it goes more and more and more electricity. That magnet starts, as you start slowing down, it gets harder and harder. So like if you actually come to a stop, you can't move the airplane because the magnets are holding the wheel in. I mean, you could move it, but you'd be dragging it. Well, unfortunately, because the electricity is coming down there at different, pulses, then what this gyro does is it looks at how much electricity is going to each brake, and then it will counteract that with a steering. So it's an anti-lock, and at the same time, it'll keep the nose going. So if this brakes harder, right? If this brakes harder,
that's what the gyro's for. That makes sense.
So it's going to immediately correct that hold. So when the wheel touches down, that's the linear line it's going to stay on, regardless of how the brakes actuate. And so your brakes could be actuating at different rates, but the heading is going to maintain it because the gyro is going to make sure that.
All this fancy stuff back in my day, we just threw a brick out the back. You hit a button, the brick would fall down, it would drag, and you'd stop. And sometimes it went through the crowd, and you hit some people. But hey, we laughed it off. You just laughed. You just dusted yourself off, put some pressure on that blood and on the wound, and then you got up. That was more fun. Nowadays, your kids got all these fancy things.
We had the stretcher standing by. It was fine.
That stretcher, that's right. Look at all the people who went out of business for the stretcher people went out of business and lost all that money. Look at you create something, put all those people out of work. You put them people out of work. Yeah.
I did. Yeah. So, well, I've actually flown this on the Turbine L39 that Barry has, the little Global Jet Club one, and it works fabulous. I'm really actually shocked at how well it works, and it was a fairly reasonable price. So I got one of those. And then for the wings, this is kind of new. This is a Hacker product. It is called, well, I don't speak German, but basically it's a 16-pin wing adapter. So I don't know if you can see it there, but you can see that it's got 16 pins. And so there's one on one side that goes in the wing, one that goes into the body. They got the pins that are included. There's the pins.
It is made by hackermotor.com, and anyway, it's 2mm by 5mm pins, and then you put them together. So on
You
the
put that in your motor?
no, you actually put one in the wing, and it runs the lights, the landing gear, the brakes, the ailerons, and the flaps. So
so
all
no
of
wires.
those wires, right? All those wires come to the edge, and then they go into this little unit, which now just barely sticks out. And then when you push the wing in, they can connect. Now, some of the airplanes, when you push the wings in, they'll actually work. But on this L-39, it's got landing gear doors, and the gear has to be down to push the wing together. So I can't make it where it matches wing to wing. I have to actually have one that pulls out so I can connect it, drop the gear, then push the wings together. So anyway, we're going to give it a try. It's not a new product, but it's a product that I found because I was doing research on, how do I do this? Do I make 5 different, connectors? They have this product called Quick Connect, and it's a quick click, and there's 8 of them, and so or you can get 6 of them. The most you can get is 12 because you can get 2 rows of 6. And then the problem is now is that I have 16 wires that are coming out of that, just that one wing, and, for lights, brakes, all that kind of good stuff. And so I'm missing 2. I would have to do 2 separate, quick clicks. And this one allows me to do it all in one, so I can just push it together and then drop the gear, push it in.
Cool.
So when I get it installed and see how it works, we can do a review on that later this year. But other than that, it's been a good build. I have all those new products in, and thought I had one more item that came in, but maybe not.
I'm sure there's an Amazon box around there, laying around there somewhere. So
it's probably a
it's like
foldable night walrus tail, right?
Probably so.
I like that.
The good news for you, Mike, is that where did I put it? I actually, you know what? It's on the other side of the shop. I actually found the fan fold, the blue core foam. So if we have to make a tail this year, you don't have to make it out of that thick.
Actually, that stuff was nice and stiff, which helped it.
It was.
I don't think we supported it, Jay. Didn't we just do it straight?
I think so.
No.
I think we threw a dowel in there.
Yeah,
I don't think we put anything in it. If we did, we just taped it on the bottom. Because I don't remember. Oh, maybe we did dig a channel out, a little bit of a channel, and put some. But it wasn't like a big piece of fiber. It was small.
No. It was like something. I mean, quite literally. I think we grabbed some scrap piece of wood or a dowel or whatever.
Like a chopstick or something.
Yeah. I don't remember. We'll have to look.
We didn't get too technical with it.
Yeah, we didn't. We just
we didn't use the finest carbon created by 15 Germans in a secret lab in the Alps.
I just thought about that though. That's a good idea. Next time, last time we went to Home Depot and tried to figure it out. This time we're going to the Chinese food and trying to figure out how to do one of the Chinese. Because we got chopsticks, we got soy sauce, we got wasabi.
You got to be able to do something with soy sauce, don't you think?
You got to be able to do
couple of noodles,
and we get a meal. Yeah, a cup of noodles. So you got some foam there, right? And they give you those little foam takeout things. So I'm pretty sure if we
just
go
to dinner, we'll have a plane. I like it.
That's it.
It's kind of like a Happy Meal, only for the Chinese food restaurant.
Dude, that would be an awesome challenge to go out to
some
a
restaurant,
to like a Chinese.
And come back with enough parts to make a plane.
Come back with enough parts to build an airplane. We're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to make
the flying egg carton.
Yeah. All I'm going to get is high blood pressure. Thanks.
All right, there you go. So, actually, you know what we should do, and our listeners can comment, but maybe we should do something like that and then challenge the flight, or not E-flight, but the test flight guys. That'd be kind of funny. And the Park Flyer podcast guys are challenging you guys to do a fast food,
plane build
airplane deal, plane build from fast food containers. Because come on, you guys. I guarantee you, those guys would come up with something amazing. They made a toilet fly, for crying out loud. Too.
Well, they made a pizza box fly, so that's worked, right?
Yes, and that is true. And you know what? That is a fast food restaurant. So if you went to a pizza place and you got a pizza box, it's not very original because it's been done before, but hey, you could be the winner.
Jay, you had that roundy looking plane that you used to fly. Oh
yeah,
you could make that out of a ton of different things.
Yeah, pizza.
Is that the pink one with the smiley face?
I think it did have a smiley face, but I think it was a round plane. It was definitely fan fold.
No, I thought it was a Corplast. Oh, no, but it was fan fold, wasn't it? I thought it was Corplast, but
it was a blue fan fold, and it was painted. It was painted orange
or yellow or something.
It had two big eyeballs on it.
Yep.
And you know why I know that? Because that sat in my house for almost 5 years.
But he's not bitter.
Where is it now? Yeah, really. Well, obviously, he doesn't hold a grudge.
No. I think you brought it down and said, "Here you go," or you gave it to me to bring it down, or you something like that. But I've flown that airplane.
Yeah.
Now it's been years because I was at when I was down at Gilbert, I flew it at the Gilbert Quiet Flyers. But yeah, I remember flying that thing.
Yeah, that's kind of like
caught in the wind.
A good challenge would be something like a cardboard challenge. Making a plane out of cardboard.
That'd be good.
Now that the
I've
plane's
done that too, by the way. I did that too. I made a cardboard airplane, and I could not figure out why it wasn't flying.
What was it?
I mean, we got it to fly.
What did you have to finally do?
Heavy. Well, I would have been better at it used a way bigger motor because the cardboard was so freaking heavy.
Hey, that's the thing you got to keep.
I tried everything. I tried the Dollar Tree foam. I went to a cardboard because I was thinking it was what they call those, Jay? The stealth fighters.
Yeah.
And
that was a great design.
Oh yeah, I think I still have one or two maybe, or at least I don't know. Somewhere I don't know where all my Blue Core foam stuff went. Look at Jay's face. Because I found out, I'm like unpacking all my stuff. I'm like, man, I had a whole bunch of Blue Core stuff in here, and I have nowhere. But my wife hands me this bag, and it's a 1-gallon bag full of like 55 servos, rods, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember.
Maybe I'll do
it. So what? So
I knew they wouldn't. I knew they wouldn't.
So I don't get it. What happened?
Yeah, so when I went, Mike had COVID, right? And I had to go down to his house to help him move, right? So when I got there and all those planes and all that stuff was there, I knew that it would not those planes would not survive sitting in the storage.
True.
So I stripped everything. I stripped all those planes of everything they had, put them in bags, put them in store. So I had to put everything in it and said, "Oh, here's all the gear, but the planes got to go because they wouldn't last."
Oh, so you just threw them out?
Oh.
Yeah, I just trashed it all for the most part.
Sans gear.
Okay, so yeah, and I was unpacking everything, So I get in my shop and I'm like, man, I thought I had a bunch of Blue Core foam airplanes. And my wife goes, yeah, I think you did. Here you go. Here they are, every one of them. Look at all the motors, servos. I mean, there are literally like 100, 9-gram servos in there. Landing gear. Anyway, she's like, and I'm looking at this bag, and I'm like, I don't remember having this bag full of parts. Where did I get all these parts? I mean, I got like, controllers and just the whole thing. And I'm just like, some of this stuff is really tiny too. Motor mounts, hacker motor. Anyway. Then I started like putting 2 and 2 together and realized that, Jay came down here and packed all those things and probably stripped all that Blue Core, and now it's in the garbage.
Decisions had to be made.
Especially since he saw and I had the fan fold stuff is sitting. Oh, there it is over there. It's sitting over here against the. I can't turn.
I can see the box.
Yeah, there it is. Right there.
I see it.
So right next to the box. There it is. Anyway, so I had all that. And I'm sure Jay was like, oh, he could build all these things in a minute, so I'll just give him all the parts. So, but it was kind of funny because unpacking all my stuff, I was kind of like, I could have sworn I had more things.
And I'm sure you're going to find some other things, Mike, as you keep unpacking.
Yes, we have.
Why did he do this? Why is this in the
So the funny part, and I know, right? And we're getting close. We got to go. But the funny thing is, my father and I were unpacking a box today in the garage, and so it says right on it, motorcycle helmets, shoes. It has this big list of stuff, and it's definitely in Jay's handwriting. So I was like, this must go with some motorcycle stuff. I don't know what's in here. So I pick it up, and when I do, I hear this chinka, 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 and I'm like, wait, that does not sound like motorcycle shoes and helmets. That has like a metallic ring to it. I cut the box, open it up, because I was just going to set it by the motorcycle stuff and get to it later. I open it up. It's all my MAP gas, these containers of propane, and I'm like, that looks nothing like what's on the outside of the box, Jay.
You know what that means? You know what that means? That means that was a box that he helped you move the last time that had your motorcycle gear in it, and he wrote that on it.
So, yeah, a box that's been sitting around my house.
Yeah, exactly.
Or motorcycle stuff because you can't put MAP gas and store it in storage. So
that is true.
Maybe something like that. I don't know.
It could have been, and actually that was probably smart on you. So,
I'm going with my first thing. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I'm going to go with my first thing. I like to go with my gut.
Yeah, because what Jay said is illegal. So,
yeah.
Anyway. Well, we've kind of come to the end of our hour. I appreciate you guys spending this time. Please, if you have a chance, Facebook page, go to Mike Calloway's page, and share your thoughts, or give us an email at the parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com, and let us know. It was always fun to be around him. We're going to miss him, but we're looking forward to the tribute at the Electric Festival. Fantastic. So, guys, getting ready. I mean, it's right around the corner. We're looking at a few weeks. So,
well, I re-registered my trailer. I cleaned my trailer, so I'm ready to come.
Good. All right. Well, I'm Michael from Arizona.
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And I'm AK Mike in Texas.
All right. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.